time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Good afternoon, everybody. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York as I sit now in the Coming In Hot World headquarters, not at the rink today, but just got back. Steve Stales just spoke to the media, so we'll get into that as well. Yorkie, it's nice to see you. David Perron is standing by. I don't want to waste too much time before we get to him. Andreas Johansson is going to join us. We have an interesting tidbit about him being traded for a GM. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So listen, let's just take care of some business, and then we're going to bring in David because it's the same thing that's happened last time he was on. They came off a tough loss, and I know it's tough because we want to discuss other things that are going on around the league, and so we'll quickly discuss last night, and then we'll move on. Mm-hmm. This show probably presented to you by Charmed Diamond Centers. More than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. They've been around since 1972. Get a custom ring buildings delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program and unbeatable pricing policy. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mine diamonds, and don't pay until 2025 with their instant in-store financing on approved credit. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. Chosen forever, Charm Diamond Center.
Wally, we needed that voice today when we were putting down our intro for our new segment we got coming up later in the show.
It's the worst segment that I have. Anyway, we'll just wait to show it.
It's the worst intro, but the segment will be good. The segment will be good.
The segment's going to be great. The intro is horrendous. Anyway. All right. Let's just bring David. Welcome back to the show, sir. It's nice to see you. We haven't been able to have a chat in a while.
Nice voice, nice singing voice. I wish I could do the same thing. No, thanks,
DP.
guys. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be back, and excited.
DP, can you believe this guy? He used to sing in a church choir.
Let's
look at that face.
Don't
him,
David. Just
is it true? Is it true?
Hey,
he did.
It's probably around Christmas time. I'm sure it's somewhat fun, to be doing that. I feel like I'm doing that in the car with the kids right now, driving them to school. So it's this time of the year, I guess.
What songs do you sing in the car with the kids?
I tried to any of the French one really for Christmas, just because I feel like they're staying away from French so much in their life. Sure. As much as I only speak French to them, they'll never answer to me almost ever in French. It's hilarious, to be honest. And with my parents, I'm trying to. Sometimes we're around the dinner table. My parents were around a lot more, obviously, the last month, helping us out through our situation. And we're around the dinner table, whatever, and they're still speaking English. And I'm like, guys, come on, like, can we go to French just a little bit for my parents, please? And like, well, we're not talking to them; we're talking between each other. Like,
that's funny.
So disrespectful, but it's great.
The only French Christmas song I know, I think, is like "Canne Père Noël."
Yeah, well, there's many good ones. They're easy. They're honestly kind of the same as in English. They just find words and the right sentences to translate them. So for the most part, we do both. We listen to both.
Well, you and I will go caroling through the neighborhood.
There you go. Let's do it.
Let's get on with it. You did bring up about dealing with your family issue. I just now that you're back and playing again, can you just update us and just give us the quick?
No problem.
I know you don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
No, it's no big deal. Might as well kind of face the situation head on. Like back in August, my wife had some contraction when we were still in our hometown in Sherbrooke. And she decided to go to hospital, check that out, turned into, hey, you got to go to Ottawa next week right away and probably get ready for labor at any moment. Basically, at that point, it could happen today, it could happen anytime. That would have been obviously a very premature baby if it happened then. So the next, I think 3 days later, we're on our way to Ottawa. We get here. I haven't been home. I haven't been anywhere. Obviously, I was going to go to the hotel, but I haven't been to the hotel. Went right to the hospital. They tell us the next morning we have to go to Toronto directly. So now crazy situation. We don't really know too much. They're sounding like it's going to be a quick procedure to do, a day or so. Next thing you know, I'm with 3 kids in a hotel room in Toronto. I can laugh about it now a little bit. And my wife's at the hospital by herself. We thought it was a 1-day thing. It turns out to be a 6-7 day thing, where I'm just walking through downtown everywhere. The 3 other kids trying to entertain them any way I can. Obviously tough training wise that week and personally, but they had to do like a procedure in vitro to put shunts, like, which is like tubes in the baby, through the belly and the baby, to release some of the pressure that the mass was creating. It's called a CPAM. I sound like a doctor these days because I feel like I've talked about it so much. But yeah, like, scary situation. The reason why it was an emergency, if we let the mass keep growing, basically it was going to put enough pressure on the heart. It was pushed all the way to the left side, where the baby was going to have a heart attack in the coming days, week, whenever, really. And you don't know at that point what, obviously, everything's on the table. So we took care of that, but we knew that the next situation was whenever birth could come at any day after that. But we were hoping to push it as close to due date, and which ended up being the case. A couple days after that, we did the surgery. Originally, they thought the whole lung was going to have to be taken out. They were able to save part of it, which is a massive deal for us, because she's likely going to have a normal life because of it. Like, she could be an athlete, play sport like everyone else, where otherwise it would have been quite different, I'm guessing. So then it was the recovery. NICU people at CHEO Hospital, General Hospital, were amazing to me and my family. The doctor was extremely supportive there for us. And then a few days later, we were able to bring her home. So, incredible situation. Like, basically the reason why I missed the first part of the trip there on West Coast, I think it was Vegas, Colorado, and Utah, was, even though she was giving birth like probably any day, but it was likely going to be an emergency surgery at birth. And obviously I couldn't take the risk to not be there if there was decisions to make. And in every step of the way so far, the situation has probably been the best it can be. We are so thankful and lucky. So it's great to have all the kids home.
Wow. And how's mom doing?
Yeah, she's good. We're grinding a little bit in all aspects, but it is what it is. We're just excited. Like, the last part there at the hospital, I think some of the tough times were also from the other kids. Like, their emotions were a little bit out of whack. They haven't seen us for 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. Not very present. We would kind of alternate driving home for a couple hours, come back, drive, be with the baby for the rest of the day. We had help. Like, my parents came, her sisters came. We have someone else in town here helping us out. So we're extremely lucky in our bad luck. Honestly, we saw some incredible situation there from other cases where there's always worse than you. And but people have been so supportive, so helpful. People from like all over hockey, the world of hockey, reached out. So it's great.
Unbelievable, ADP. It just really puts stuff in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And just kind of had that dark cloud, like, in a way, hanging from August. I just knew we would have to deal with it. And now it just feels so much better. Just the fact that we dealt with it, where when you're kind of in the waiting game, it can go so many directions that you don't know. Like, everything was kind of on the table from the whole time. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I'm glad to be able to talk about it in a good story for now, and we're not fully out, but out of the woods. But for the most part, so far so good.
Amazing. And all the best to you and your family. I can't imagine about just trying to move and set up all the stuff that's going on.
That was crazy. Actually, just briefly on that too, like, just being in the hotel through training camp, managing the 3 other kids, bring them to school, new city, new life. I had to deal with an injury in camp that, I mean, looking back now, likely just kind of the whole, maybe the stress, the just moving around the bed, just kind of being everywhere, not being stable anywhere. So I'm hoping we're past that. I feel a lot better. The team has been extremely supportive and kind of like focusing on hockey now.
So what was that day like when you just got to get back on? And maybe I'm making a bigger deal of it than it is, but I just remember seeing you come on the ice And I just felt like you just saw, like there was a little bit of joy that just was you getting around skating.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong.
No, we're made to play hockey. You do that your whole life. Even doing this right now, I enjoy doing it because we talk about hockey. And you're right. Like when you're around the guys, you just realize how much you miss. Like having dinners with them on the road, sharing stories. Honestly, going through tough times like this, kind of like we are right now. A little bit of a tougher spurt of at least no points in games. You can play good hockey if you don't win the game. You got to find a way out of it. But I do enjoy going through the grind. Not sleeping much last night, to be honest. And it had nothing to do with the kids. I wish it did. It would have been easy to go to practice. But it's all related to trying to find a solution for, first of all, for the players in the room, for everybody, but for the city, for the fan base. And we got to narrow our focus to each and every day, the process, like Travis talks about a lot. And I think that's what's going to help us come out of it.
DP, I did a little bit of a deep dive, and I look at the underlying numbers, and I'm not a big analytics guy, but this team's not giving up a lot. Like if you look at the numbers, how do you put your finger on this right now? Because it's not like the team is playing terrible, but the results aren't coming. You played, unless you've been around, you've been through streaks. What do you attribute what's going on right now to?
It's tough to point the finger on just one thing for sure. It's always a combination of a few things. But I thought the guys, it's just too bad that Philly game there. I thought we smoked them for the whole game, and then sure enough, we get only 1 point out of it. That's not a situation where we can sustain success. Obviously, if you let go of points like that, and then you go into Carolina, really good team, tough building to play in. I think it's just a matter, I don't know, Travis is big on the process, and I do believe the same thing. If you keep putting yourself in the right situations, you're going to learn eventually from those tougher moments. And there's another team on the other side trying to win, doing the same thing, trying to knock us off. And it is now we're kind of going into a period of the year where the grind of the season is really starting, like from game 20 to probably 55. And we got to keep ourselves in the fight as much as possible. If you stay in the fight long enough, maybe you come out around game 55, 60, and you built some belief in your game. You built some confidence. Everyone kind of knows their role even more. And there's many teams in our situation. We're not the only ones kind of right now looking at each other and trying to find solution. And I look at it in an exciting way. Like when I say that I know for a fact that I'm not the only guy that didn't sleep well last night. And I'm sure the same with the coaches. And we should be excited to find a solution like this. This is fun to go through a grind like this. I'm sure, Yorkie, you miss those days sometimes. Like you want to go through a 5-game winning streak. When we talk, hopefully in a couple of months or even before that, we have a nice winning streak. Well, we can remember those times too, and we built ourselves that belief through the harder time. And when you have it, you don't want to let it go.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm sitting at the top of the 100s today, at the end, trying to listen to Travis, who's on the opposite side of the ice at the penalty box. So there's a lot of distance, but I believe he says something regarding come play with some passion, or bringing up the word passion. So what does he want to see out of this group?
Yeah, no, exactly. Bring passion tomorrow night. Bring passion in general at practice and at the rink. At the end of the day, we all have things going on either at home, whatever, but you got to find a way to park this and then get to the rink, energize, kind of being part of the solution. And you do that with your play. You do that by not looking beside you who can do it. No, you could try and go out there and initiate whatever is required at the time of the game to make a difference. And we all have a different role. Like obviously higher minutes guys, more offensive guys, they bring a different element. The other guys, bottom two lines, third, fourth line, you got to bring momentum. You got to go on the ice and win shifts for the guys. Maybe you watching the game from the bench, you see what the game needs more of, and you have to go out there. Or maybe you hear the coaches talking about, oh, do we play on the outside a little too much right now? Do we do this? Well, you go out there and you try and initiate, try and shift the momentum in your favor. And that, I think that's how you bring your passion. I think that's how the coaches see that. Everyone sees that. You put in the work ethic, and a lot of people respect that when you do that.
Okay, DPN, I don't want to get you in trouble by commenting on a ref. I want to ask you because you were involved. Like you made a hell of a play in that Carolina game. Like you got squeezed off by two guys right inside the blue line. Somehow you got through. I don't know how you did it, and you made an unbelievable pass over to Timmy. I haven't seen a call like that ever. I don't know. You play a long time.
Yeah,
I still don't get it. It's just I'm bewildered by that.
I would like to comment, but I won't as far as the referee part.
Yes.
What I can say is I know exactly what Tim did. He could feel like the stick of Svechnikov, I think it was, kind of coming back, getting in the lane, but he's one hand on his stick. He's not like two hands super tight or whatever. He's kind of like just putting a stick out there and hoping my pass hits his stick. And Timmy just kind of starts like winding up and getting ready for a pass to come across, and he kind of makes his stick heavy so that in case there's a stick-on-stick contact, you can still kind of power through, which he did. Even if Svechnikov doesn't lose his stick, I bet you he scored the goal the same way. And I bet you it's not a slash. It's kind of like get your stick ready, heavy, and ready to push through kind of all together. Even if there's stick-on-stick contact, that puck gets on net. Maybe not the same top corner that he did. I'm not sure. Maybe the same thing. But yeah, like very disappointed. I'm obviously like I want to contribute offensively too. I felt like that was a good game there. I think Rids in the first period too at the end of a power play. I gave him a puck in the slot. He went back and hit the post. Yep. Yesterday I hit the knob of the goalie. Doesn't see the puck. Like one of these days something's gonna go in and I can start building momentum the other way offensively. And I obviously want to do that. I want to prove my worth, and I want to obviously demand more ice time in a way too by producing and doing that stuff. And maybe until you do that, it's tough to start like doing that stuff. You want to carry your own weight first, and also you want to be a team player. Whatever is required of you, your role, you go out there and you do it.
You're a long-time goal scorer, so are you pressing? Obviously you've gone through
I'm not.
Okay.
It's funny, like, who did I say that to today? Maybe my dad or it's like I'm old enough now that I play the same way as if I had just scored 5 games in a row in my mind. Like I go out there with the same intentions, playing with structure. My game is very simple. I'm not a guy that's like, maybe when you're younger, you're trying to be more flashy, toe drags it. No, I try to play with the game with structure. I need my teammates to play with structure so we can retrieve puck, make plays. And then I get my scoring 5-on-5 from structure. I always did. That's what I did with O'Reilly and St. Louis, other guys. And I feel like what I told my dad, I think is, I just think like I feel like what other people think I'm going to feel, it worries me more than what I actually feel when I go out there. It's kind of interesting, but I do want to obviously produce. It is something that, again, like yesterday I hit the knob and another one-timer from the slot. Pins gave it to me. You have different situation that, I mean, sometimes guys just go low to high and then it goes to the net, it goes in the net. Like you have an assist so you got to just keep putting yourself in enough situations. But I want to make sure that my structure and my belief in my role right now, if you're on the third line, you got to build momentum for your team. You got to play solid. You don't want to allow any goals. That comes first. That comes like first by far in my mind right now before I start pressing.
Quickly, I have a couple of questions I know before I let you go. One is Brady was very animated last night, had a lot to say to the media about being frustrated and whatnot. I'm just curious if he addressed the team based on the way he spoke. I just feel like he may have said something to the group, but I could be wrong.
We always talk. Like we had a team meeting this morning, like we always do, and there's conversations. Guys are frustrated, and again, there's many. I haven't even heard, by the way, what Brady said. I'm sorry. I maybe should have, but
no. He said you got like immature. You used as a term for basically allowing quick goals in the to come back.
Yeah.
Like just as a frustrated group, things just aren't coming together. Of this team needs to be stronger mentally. You get that sense.
Yeah, like that's maybe a part of our team play that can keep increasing, that we can keep getting better at, and I think that's on the players. We have to. Like you hear the coaches talk through the game, systems, whatever structure, and we have to take the ownership in general that what I mentioned earlier in the game, do you need a shift to go out there and shift momentum in your favor? Well, if we have just got scored on, you have to know what you're doing. Like the next shift, you have to go with the right intention. And it maybe is not to score a goal, to be honest. It's just to go play deep in their zone. And you want to kind of start shifting the momentum back the other way, but you certainly don't want to allow 2 goals, let's say in a minute, 2 goals in 2 minutes. And that certainly happened probably a couple too many times already this year. I think that's what Brady probably alluded to. I'm not exactly sure. The game's tomorrow night, so if there's something he has to say, it could happen tomorrow too as well. I'm sure I understand frustration. If there's frustration from his part, he's been around for a number of years here. It may feel similar to other years, but what I can say is one of the teams eventually will change the narrative for the fans there in town. So why not be us? And I think that's what Travis also, to allude to his comment at the end of practice. Well, bring your passion. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about this. In a way, don't worry about what the media or the fans are saying. You have to narrow down your focus, kind of like a bunker mentality. And why can't it be us that turns the narrative of we turned this November into we stayed in the fight. Now we're pushing the other way. Now we're building our game. And now the belief of everybody is raising together and we're all getting excited together.
Fair enough. Before I let you go, I always want to get around the league. One of the big things is Alex Ovechkin, leading at one point, tied for the league leading goals, if not leading, has a hat trick, one of the oldest to do it. I'm just curious of what you think about his game. A, is he the best goal scorer ever in your opinion? And B, because you are 37, I feel like, am I right? 36. Sorry.
Yeah.
What you think of someone that's still able to do it at the level he does it at 39?
It's incredible. What I'm excited for him is the way he seems to be doing it again this year. Last year it was a bit of a rough start to his standard. Picked it up after the All-Star break. So it's great to see. You want to see it. Obviously, you want him to do it, and you want him to do it in the OV fashion that he's done it his whole career in a way. You don't want him to kind of stumble to end up doing it, which he would still do it if he does it that way. Good on him. But in a way, I take myself out of the NHL for a second, more as a hockey fan. You want to see him doing it in the OV fashion. It's too bad. Seems like in the type of injury, I have no information at all. But when the knee goes in a little bit like that, Yorkie, I'm sure you can know exactly what that feeling is when you drag your leg a little bit and you know which ligament it is. That's not great for probably, depending, 4 to 6 weeks, depending which grade it could be. Yeah. I hope that he comes back from it. He comes back in great shape and he's able to do it maybe even this year.
Is he the best goal scorer ever, or is still for you, is it Wayne Gretzky?
No, I think it's him. He's more like, in a way, I don't want to get fans crazy here, but I think Wayne was, if anything, obviously way more of a playmaker, and he would say that himself. Yep. But with McDavid just hitting his thousandth point this week, it's crazy. I think it is like Wayne back-to-back 1,000 points, the both fastest ever to do it. Number of games. That just tells you how dominant Wayne was, and how surreal it must have been to play against him. So it's incredible, and you could feel the buzz last night in town too from the Oilers being in town. Just my son, his hockey team, I think half the team, if not more, were there talking about the game, kind of building it up. Kids were so excited to see, obviously, one of the best players probably ever to play hockey live in person, and I'm glad I was able to provide that for my son. It was great.
Yeah. Next time, maybe not give him 2 goals, but that's a whole other story.
No, I know.
I'm just kidding.
It's too bad. Like that Gia, just briefly too, like that Giroux face-off. That's so unfortunate. Like G's got the right intention. He's got both hands on his stick. It's not like one of those where you swapped like the whole.
Was it just like his pinky that got it?
I'm not entirely sure still on what the rule is. Is there like a gray zone there where we always felt like if you have kind of both your hands and it's the side of your glove, usually it kind of like squeaks by, like in the D zone, but it is what it is. We got to move on. It's kind of like that goal you talked to me about, Carolina. Would it be great? I think the momentum shift, maybe we win that game, but it went against us. Sometimes you don't get the bounces. You got to keep pushing.
Fair enough, David.
100%.
We appreciate you stopping by as always, and it's great to see you again. We have missed you on the show, so
thank you. By the way, guys, I have my podcast stuff that I was required kind of to buy, and I gotta set it up. Hopefully next week or whenever we speak. I hope that it's all set. I want to look like you guys and kind of like a Joe Rogan moment with the microphone in front of you like that. Hey, it's great.
Perfect. We'll take it.
Thank
you.
Guys. Have
See you tomorrow, sir. Okay.
Thanks, DP.
David,
he's so good.
Yes.
You know what? And talking candidly too, like just spitting their truth. There's no cliches, and you know, like this is. Hopefully it's not going to be another November and in the sense, I just honestly, Wally, it feels they are playing differently. They are playing differently, and you can look at the underlying numbers. They're not giving up as many high danger chances. The D zone looks better. The neutral zone looks better. Like it just, for me, and it's not just one person's fault, but I will say this, they need better goaltending. They do. And in all honesty, you got to have, I would say, more consistent good goaltending, because Allmark has had some really good games. It's just his off games have been the opposite direction, really bad. So it's not all on him, but if you're going to win in this league and be a playoff team, you have to have consistently above average goaltending, and they're not getting that consistently, and everybody knows that. And I do think it's going to turn around though. And I said this before, Wally. I still believe in Allmark. I think he's going to turn it around. I just think it's been a tough start, and I do think he'll figure it out, because the sample size is too good from what he's done in the past.
So here's the issue for the goaltending is, how many of the 10 starts would you say he's actually been very good in? Because he's allowed 4 or more goals in 5 of his 10 starts. His save percentage is .884. If you take out the minutes that he played in that game in Colorado with the skate issue, I think it was Colorado.
Yeah.
His goals against is over 3. His save percentage is even, I think it's at .883. It's even lower. I'm saying is he was brought in to be a difference maker. Everybody said if this team was going to go to the playoffs, Linus Ullmark was going to have to be a difference maker, and he's not. And even Steve Stais said today, he understands. But I just don't want to keep hearing it's going to turn around. It's coming. He's going to be
well.
Okay.
It would be one thing. So I do feel, even though he wasn't that busy in the Boston game, that save he made in overtime was huge, and that got an extra point. I thought he was really good in the Toronto game as well. I thought he was excellent. But the letdown for me is, you have that Philadelphia game where there's no way on earth they should have lost that game. They dominated the Flyers, and that's the one that really leaves a mark. Yeah. And then just in the Edmonton game, it's just getting off. You can't spot Edmonton a lead like that. They're too good. McDavid's too explosive, that's the difference. Early on in the game, you need to see if Shabbat makes a mistake, and it's easy to pile on Shabbat, but he's been pretty good this year. That was a twofold mistake, and Meth went over it during the intermission. Yeah. It was not good neutral zone play. I think it was Cousins in the neutral zone, and also but here's the thing. I got to give Bouchard credit, because if I'm playing against Bouchard as a defenseman, I know he's not a great straight line explosive skater. So I'm thinking he's going to shoot that puck. And I know why Shabbat went forward, because he tried to go stick on puck, because he doesn't think Bouchard's ever going to try and beat him. And then he beats him. Like, it's just, so Shabbat played that poorly. Cousins played that poorly. And then Allmark couldn't bail either one of them out. So, and then it wasn't a good game for Linus in that way. And so I still believe in him as a goaltender. I think he'll turn it around. I think he'll turn it around, just based on what he's done in the past. Like, there's not, from what he did in Boston in that year and from other previous years, I just think there's too much there to ignore. And people will say goalie graveyard and this and that. Let's give it a little more time here.
The only issue I have is they're playing a much better team, and we got to get to Andre. I don't want to keep talking. We'll talk after maybe we're done with Andreas. Is that they're playing a much better system, a much better team game all around, offensively and defensively. And I think I thought we solved the goaltending issue.
Me too.
And we're not anywhere near
everything's a bizarro world right now. Nobody thought Forsberg was going to have those 2 shutouts. Everybody was poo-pooing Forsberg. He came in pretty well, and Ullmark's not playing well. Yeah. Oh, it's just bottom line, the goalies have to be better. They got to be more consistent. They do.
Okay, let's take care of some business, and we're going to get to Sweden. So, Yorkie, thank our friends.
Thank our friends from Messier Excavating, as always. If you want to get some equipment rentals, aggregate and topsoil, custom crushing and screening, hot mix paving, hit BEI up, and the good people at BEI will fix you up. And you can get them at 613-432-1120 or on the web at bonashirexcavating.com. So when you're planning your next project, reach out at those 2 contacts. BEI is helping to shape the Ottawa Valley, and please slow down in construction zones.
Also, this show is proudly presented to you by Bet365, proud partner coming in hot. Open an account today with Bet365. Bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, NATION. Must be 19 years of age or older. Please play responsibly. Don't forget, download the app today. All right, one of the good guys of all time. Let's just get right to it. Let's go. At least I believe he's in Sweden. Andreas Johansson.
Hello. What's up?
The problem of Wally, sometimes when AJ and I talk, we'll go into we'll both start imitating Barry Trotz as we talk.
We can imitate anybody you want.
Where are you right now? Where are you in Carlstad?
Stockholm.
Nice.
Is that where you're You're in the office? Oh, yeah, because AJ, you have your sports agency right now going?
Yeah, I lived here for about 8 years now, and you came to see me. That was like 6 years back, I think.
Yeah.
So
2017, is that the one, the 2017 series, Yorkie?
No, I went down to Sweden. Wally
you were
was
working
there with me. Yeah, Wally and I were working on the NHL broadcast. That's when we came together for the first time to create television magic, and then you and I went out a couple nights. But Wally, I went down to see AJ. How many years after was it when we played in Nashville together? Because I finally came down to see you in Sweden. Maybe
at my golf tournament.
Oh yeah, it was your golf.
Yeah, that was, I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyhow, I went down, and we've got a great story about it later when we get into our new game, Yorkie's Word Association. We're going to talk about some of those things later. But one of my best trips ever. That's the thing with hockey guys, eh? They always say they're going to go visit. I got to go see you in the summer, this, and they never do it.
That's right.
AJ, before we get into all the stories, because I feel like I may not talk for the rest of this broadcast while Yorkie gets going. I got to say, you and I used to sit and chat. You were one of the first guys that I chatted with, just sitting at a locker stall on a regular basis. And I still have it. You gave me one of your signed Easton sticks.
Oh,
the wood blade.
This is legit. It's got your number 21 still up. Anyway. So
nice.
always thought highly of you, even if for whatever reason, you got moved quickly out of Ottawa, if you will. I think you played 69 games here, but I really always enjoyed your time here.
Well, thank you, appreciate it. I have to say too that I was only there for a season, but I enjoyed it so much. My teammates, the fans, the people. Even the media. but everything it felt like being home. So I think I said it the other day when I did an interview that when I got traded in the summer, when Rick Dudley brought me to Tampa, that was I was really, really sad when that happened, because I felt so at home there that year. So yeah. Likewise.
Do you know that you had offensively that year was your best season in the NHL, was also my best season in the NHL. I had 35 points that year. I remember we had a few connections on that second power play unit over a little back and forth, but you had, everybody always talks about this.
The first power play unit, me and you.
Oh yeah, we were the first power play. But you had, how many goals did you have up until Christmas?
You know what? I don't know, but I know, what I do know is that I scored out of 21, I think I scored 21 goals, right? I had 19 at home. And I was actually kind of, I was scoring a lot. And then a game at home against Montreal, Jagr never put me out on the ice when we had the lead, for an empty netter. But this time he put me out there, and I had 2 goals, and Brisbois kind of knee hit me, and my ligament tore my knee. That's when I got injured and kind of battled with the rest of the year. But I was kind of slow after that. But no.
How many we had on that team? How many Swedes do we have on that team? There was Dackel, you,
4.
Alfie, Irvi.
Yeah.
4
forwards, and I think all 4 guys scored 20 goals. Can that be right, or more?
I'm gonna check.
Just a sec. So Andreas Johansson 21, Magnus Arvidsson 20, Andy Dackel 15. Okay. Alfie had 11 because he was hurt for.
He was hurt. Yeah. Okay. So no, but I remember Alfie was hurt. That's right. And no, but a lot of guys had a good year that year. We had a lot of points too as a team, and we played a high pace, really, strong team game.
Do you remember? So you're one of 2 players that I know of in the history of the National Hockey League. You and Rob Zamner traded for Rick Dudley, if I have this correct. No, sorry. Rick Dudley goes to Tampa, and Rob Zamner comes this way. You come this way too, though, right?
I went to Tampa. Yeah. So Rick Dudley came in, or he was the GM in Ottawa, and he moved this. If I remember, he moved with the new owners in Tampa to Tampa, right?
Yes. Yep.
And he brought me to Tampa, and Rob Samner went the other way. That's correct. Yeah.
So because Ottawa, Tampa gave up 3 exhibition games, like the revenue from 3 exhibition games, and Rick Dudley.
That was the trade. That was the.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because back then they were short on cash, right? It was back in the late 90s. And so they were doing anything to figure out a way to generate more money.
Yeah, and it was going to be, you don't worry, AJ, it's going to be great. You're going to have a big house in Florida on the golf course, and coach is going to be great. Bang, I was in Calgary 3 months later.
Why? So why, the 2 places you and I played together, why do you think it worked out so well? Because in Nashville, you put up 20 goals. In Ottawa, you put up 20 goals. But everywhere else, you didn't put up the same numbers. What do you think the difference was in those 2 teams?
Well, I think that the similarities with those 2 teams is that both teams brought me in looking at me as a top 6 forward, and both teams were there were no high-end players. Like we had Yashin and Alfie pretty much, right? And
that was it, yeah.
In Nashville, we had no forwards that were, it was Steve Sullivan came in, was a guy like Scott Walker, David Legwand, and I got an opportunity which I took, and obviously, and I know you want to say this, Yorkie, that was all because of you, and I think you actually had I had a great time off the ice. We, as families, we were hanging together. We had fun. We were underdogs again as a team. And second year, that was the first time Nashville went to the Stanley Cup playoffs. We were there for that. And I was flying around. I think in Nashville, Yorkie, I had 12 goals after 16 games or something like that.
I remember that.
Then I got hit by that big defenseman in New Jersey, and I was out again.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Those pictures, by the way, were the only 2 but I did find video, or I guess still photography of the 2 of you playing together. Those are the only.
That was a good time. We had good chemistry on and off the ice, me and Yorkie.
Oh, we had so much time. You know what? I'll say this. Barry Trotz was a pioneer. Like, we didn't know it at the time, but he was doing things. Now you talk about teams, they have rest days. Everyone's doing load management. I don't know if you remember this, but we would go out to practice, and there would be a contest to see if we had any sweat on our shirt after practice with Trotzy's practices. We're like, guys, it's a no sweater again. Nobody's sweating, but Trotzy was actually helping us save energy like they're doing now. Yeah. He was ahead of his time.
He was really good. He was a really good coach and a really good person. And so was I like Jagr too. If you go back to Ottawa, he was so good too. He only told me 3 things: dry wide, shoot the puck, and then I don't remember the third thing. But he told me 3 things.
Use your speed.
Yeah,
Use your speed. Use your speed.
Drive wide and shoot the puck. Yeah. So it was simple.
I remember that.
funny.
Try flying, AJ. Use your speed. Shoot the puck.
That's the only thing he said. Never said anything else to me.
Before Yorkie gets into his word association, I have one picture that I have found, and I'm curious if you have any recollection of this time with Chris Osgood behind the net. Jake will put it up here in 1 sec, I think. That.
What the
Oh,
hell?
yeah, that's nice. Who is hitting who? It looks like he's hitting me, right?
I know, yeah. You got taken out.
I actually do remember that, because one thing that I do have, I have all my NHL games on a hard drive. So I actually watch sometimes, especially the Ottawa year I watched.
Really?
Yeah, every game I have. So Yorkie, if you want, I got some of your highlights there too. I can send you something.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna hit you up for some of those. That's how did you get those? How'd you get those?
I videotaped every game, recorded every game VHS when I played in the NHL, and I kept them all. And one day in Stockholm, I went to my storage room and looked in the boxes, and I went to the store and they put everything down for me. So I have it on a little hard drive. So it's kind of nice, actually. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you, and we've been chatting about this because I know what you're doing, but maybe let Wally know and the people in the hockey world. You now have your own sports agency, right? So you're an agent. You and Andreas Johansson.
I'm a licensed agent for 5 years, based in Stockholm. I own the company too, together with my friend and business partner Johan, and Dax is working in the company with us. So that's also a lot of fun. You know, Dax and me, we go back to when we were 10 years old, and now we're working together. And we have we had a lot of success. We have 3 first rounders. We have 4 guys in NHL now. We got another few guys coming, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Is Dax a hard worker?
Oh yeah.
He works. He was on the ice, very slow but smart.
He's skinny now too, eh? He used to be kind of chunky.
He needs to do a knee replacement. Like he needs to take his whole knee out and put a new one in. But he works out like a maniac. He do skiing, the track skiing in the winter, and so he's in good shape.
I heard Linus Ullmark a little bit.
I know him a little bit because I was coaching Modo after my career, and he was a junior guy. And I have such a funny story. We're going to have a scrimmage with the pro team, and I'm the coach. And we wanted someone to sit and do the clock and the time and statistic. And I saw this blonde guy there, and who is that guy? Well, he plays for the junior team. And I grabbed him. Hey, Linus, can you do the clock? And so he was sitting in the penalty box and talking and doing the clock when we played. And now he's an NHL superstar.
Oh, man. That's so funny. That's so
okay,
funny.
Yorkie, are you ready?
Well, we don't have we want to get to this right away, AJ. We're going to do a new segment in the show. So we're testing out today. It's going to be called Yorkie's Word Association. So I'm going to say a word or a phrase to you, and you're going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, and maybe a little follow-up story. So we got a new intro.
You really want me to say the first thing that comes to my mind?
Yes.
First thing that comes to your mind, you got to say it. But you got to
I'll try.
Check out, we got a new intro here. I might actually do a little bit of singing in this one. Let's hit the intro here. Let's go, Jake.
Yorkie's Word Association. Yorkie's Word Association.
Is that AJ with that? That's terrible. It's terrible. We're working on it. We had an hour to do it. Like it was, come on, a lot of pressure. Why did you could have done the Wally's actually a good singer. He sang in a church choir as a young boy.
Anyway, that was the worst thing we've ever put on this show, so I apologize.
Oh my God.
Anyway, go ahead, Yorkie.
Well, Andreas and I have known each other for a long time, and my God, there's some funny stories. I've got a list of things, so I'm going to start off at the top of my list. And I'm going to read you a phrase, and you got to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Pittsburgh Steelers Viking helmet.
Jaromir Jagr.
Why does that bring up Jaromir Jagr?
This is one of the best stories ever. Like I've been involved. I came to Pittsburgh First year we had Eddie Johnson, the old coach. It was a country club. You've never seen anything like it. Like there were no meetings, no helmets, no shoulder pads in practice. Wow. I did, but half of the team, those guys didn't have it. And then second year, Eddie was out and Kevin Constantine came in. It was more like being in the military, So he said, start a training camp. Everyone's going to have helmet and shoulder pads on for practice. So opening day of training camp in South Point, where the practice rink is at. Yep. Like 1,500 people in the stands, little rink. Everybody's skating around, and we're thinking, we wonder if Jagr is going to have a helmet on or not. He comes out. First of all, he comes out 15 minutes late. We're already doing, line drills. He comes out, no helmet, skates up and starts to stretch, So
15 minutes late for practice.
Kevin skated up, he was also redhead. His face was like a tomato, like screaming to Jagr, everybody helmet. Jagr skates off the ice, goes in the locker room. He's in there for 20 minutes. Comes out. Our strength coach John Welday, he had like a Viking helmet with horns on, like in the gym. So Jagr comes out, and the trainers put a chin strap on that helmet with the horns on, and he skated for an hour and a half like that. And they were like this the whole year.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
so he actually puts this helmet on and goes out to practice with the helmet on.
First, he put the helmet on backwards with a visor in his neck, and then Kevin threw him out, and then he came out with a Viking helmet with horns and a CCM chin strap that the trainer put on. And it's like, let's go. There's a scrimmage.
That year with Jagr in Pittsburgh was pretty crazy because Constantine was trying to change the culture, right?
The first thing he did, he took the ping pong table out and he put this steel chairs for meetings. And the meeting was 9:00 every morning. And everyone knows back then that Jagr slept during the day and was open during the night, right? He was up during the night. Yeah. So he came in 9:15 every day, missed the first 15 minutes, and we were all sitting there on those chairs. And every game he had stats for blocking shots. After every game, we went through every game. Like, it was crazy meetings. But I think we won the division that year too with Kevin because obviously we had players like Jagr. Another funny story that year. Jagr wanted to play with Jason Woolley and Freddie Olson because then he knew he was going to get good breakout passes.
Yeah.
Kevin, just to screw with him, put Frankie LaRue and Neil Wilkinson every time Jagr went on the ice, So that meant that he had to put his shin pads on, backwards because they were throwing bombs in his legs. So then I'm looking on the bench and I see Sevi, the trainer, with Jagr's skates like this, standing there. And Jagr sitting without skates. I'm not playing anymore for this guy. Wow. Commercial break. Jagr, in Pittsburgh, you skate over the ice to the locker rooms, Yeah, it's not on the same side. Back in the old arena, at least. Jagr walks in his socks over the ice, goes in the locker room, has a press conference after the game, tells all the reporters that's the last game I play for Pittsburgh as long as he's the coach, and then he goes home.
Yeah, didn't eventually you said they had to bring his parents in, right?
That was the time. So we are sitting the 2 days after in the locker room watching the Pirates play, and we see Jagr come out and throw the first pitch, waving at the fans. I mean, he should be with us, at practice. So Craig Patrick called his dad in Czech Republic. You got to fly over because his son is out of line. So he was sitting in the stands every day. And I think for 4 or 5 games in a row, he had like 2-3 points every night when his dad was there.
So hold on. So you guys are practicing. He's left the team. He's not with you guys. Nobody knows where he is. You guys turn on the TV, and he's throwing the first pitch out for the baseball game.
No cell phones, no cell phones back then. It's like he's out there waving with his long hair, throwing the first pitch. We're skating like, with Kevin on the ice, like watching that was like crazy.
Okay.
I have so many stories with Jagr.
Okay. I got another word association, and it might involve Jagr. I'm going to say this phrase, and let you tell me what you think of. Caesars Casino plane landing at LAX.
Jagr. Should I tell the story or?
It's a great story. You got to tell the
Well,
story.
we land in. I can do it. Try to do it quick. We land in LA. We're supposed to have a dinner with the owner, who was Howard Baldwin back then, the TV producer or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm looking out the window. There's like we landed. There's a Caesar Palace plane coming up next to it, and Jagr just takes his bag and says, "See you guys tomorrow." Walks into that plane and takes off, and that was actually the year before Kevin, right? So Mary and everyone's like, Mary just said, "Let him go. He's gonna play good. Let him go have some fun. He's coming back. He's gonna be." Like when Dennis Rodman left the Bulls, and everyone knew he needed it. So it was the same thing.
I heard he got off the bus, had a little bag with some money, the casino. See you later, boys. I'm going to go to Vegas for a couple days.
Hey, he had more cash in that bag than I was making before taxes.
All right. Next story, Yorkie.
Oh boy, these are good, Wally. Okay, well, we're gonna switch gears here. We're gonna get out of we could go Pittsburgh Penguins all day long, but I'm gonna ask you about this: the hardest handshake in the history of the NHL.
Oh, Brian Sutter. Oh my God, I can still feel it. That man. First of all, he was. You just look at him, you got terrified. But he was, to me, he was super good. Like you actually knew what to expect every day. But when he shook his hand, like this knuckle and this knuckle would meet right here, in the middle. Like, and his arms, like farmer arms, and he looked at you like this. How you doing, kid?
That's true story. You told me when you played in Calgary, Brian Sutter, for people that don't know, for newer fans, this guy was one of the toughest coaches ever. You said he would leave the door open on purpose because he had to walk by his door, and he was waiting to drag guys in the office and bring you in and give you the punch in the shoulder and shake your hand.
Yeah, if you were kind of walking on the wall, like almost like this against the wall, he could only see you for half a second. But if you're walking inside that wall, he would see you along. So every time you knew you didn't have a good game, you were like climbing on that wall. And I remember one time I kind of had a tough time when I came there. I didn't produce, and then we played against Pittsburgh, and I had 4 points at home, a big breakout. We won 6-3 or something like that. And the next day I didn't care about walking close to that wall. And I heard, "Andy, get in here." He called me Andy. And in his office, he had a computer, and then he had a picture behind it on himself when he's standing in front of the net in St. Louis like this, ready to cross-check someone, right? With his face. And then he said, "You think you had a good game last night?" "Yeah, that was nice, finally." "You were fucking awful." "Away from the puck, you were awful. And get out of here." Okay, yeah. Now I'm gonna be humble again. But I loved him. I loved him. Don't get me wrong. I loved him. He was after the season, or boys went to the bar, he showed up at the bar with the boys. "I love you guys. Let's have a beer." He was a beauty.
Okay, Wally, I got one that I gave you earlier. And this is going into Nashville Predators days. It's a nickname I told you about. I don't know if you remembered, and you gotta ask AJ about where this came from.
I don't remember. You said you're going to send me the list, and I'm a little busy.
You got a lot of stuff going on right now, AJ. The Sens lost again last night. The pressure's on here.
I follow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched a lot of the Sens games?
Yep, I watch every game the day after. I have my own scouting program, so I can go in and watch players' shifts and everything. I watch our players, obviously, when they play against Ottawa.
Yeah.
And Travis Green, I used to play with him, so
right.
I always follow people that I've been in so many teams, so I pretty much know someone everywhere. But Ottawa, I follow for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember Greener as a player? Like, he was a skilled guy. He had the long hair. Anything you remember about Greener in particular? Skilled,
good shot, really good face-off guy, and good teammate.
Yeah.
Can he coach is the question I want.
Well, that I don't know, but I've seen a lot of bad coaches, so why should he be any worse?
Well, because you played for Mike Milbury. Where does he rank?
Oh, yeah, that was a different story. It was a good thing for me that Rick Bowness was the assistant. Otherwise, I would probably be home with the tail between my legs.
Really, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah. That was that was a little bit scary. Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Well, coming from Sweden, 21 years old, didn't speak very good English, never seen anything like that. First thing I saw, hey, your coach / GM that he was at the same time, he used to run up in the stands and beat fans up. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be fun. But yeah, you learn something from that too. I always, Brian I love, Mike had some good things too. And in his way, I always actually try, and this is what I tell my players now when they run into coaches when they're young that they think are hard-nosed or whatever, even though most coaches are not like that anymore. You have to learn not put your focus on the coach. Put the focus on yourself and what you should do. And I learned that because I had those tough guys. I had Jimmy Roberts in the minors. That's a step further than Mike Milbury, to be honest with you.
Really?
He told me every day, you never play in the NHL. You're never gonna play in the NHL. So you can't let him bring you down.
Wow.
Exactly. So, okay, I'm gonna say, to change gears a little bit, I'm gonna throw
right.
a name.
I sidetracked it. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's good. It's all good. Okay. The nickname Poodle Legs.
Scott Walker.
One of the best nicknames of all time. I remember.
That was you that came up with that, or me? You or me?
No, what happened was when we played in Nashville, we had one really good line. You and Walks and David Legwand were playing together before we traded for Steve Sullivan. And well, this was crazy. It was a tight offside, and Scotty Walker had the shortest little legs. And talk about tough guys. Scott Walker, he could throw him 5 foot.
Oh my God.
Angry, just getting in there. And he went offside on you. And we're like, holy cow, Walks, drag your leg. Like, what do you have? Poodle legs? Come on. Like, and you got to try and drag the leg, but the legs are so short. So
that's exactly what it was. I met him in Finland a few years back when he was with Team Canada. Him and Steve Sullivan was in the bar, and he goes, "Hey, it's Poodle legs!" He was screaming to me when it's up.
Well, he did have a little tiny legs, but boy, could he fight, Scotty Walker.
Hey, he could play too, Yorkie. He was so good for me to play with. Like he was, and they, like you said, tough. Oh my God.
Love to fight.
Love to fight.
Okay, I wish we had more time, but I want to get to a couple good stories here. Some of these Russian stories are the best. So I'm going to say, you played in St. Petersburg, Barry Smith. AJ actually was calling me every day to get me, Yorkie, you got to get over here. It's great. We're getting paid a lot. Barry Smith is here. It's awesome. I ended up not going, but you told me a great story, and I'm going to say these 2 words. You tell me what it means. Russian gas.
Yeah. First of all, I had a great time there, and the people there were just amazing. I had no expectations when I went. I was looking at it like 9 months in the army with really good pay. That's how I looked at it when I went. But I had a blast, and they treated me like gold, and they still do when I go back. Obviously, I don't go back anymore.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. But yeah, the Russian gas, we never really knew what it was till after. But they had a couple of ways to get you going. So when you came into the rink in the morning, the doctor was standing there. You have to go shake everybody's hand till you have shaken everybody's hand. And then the next guy comes in and he shakes everybody's hand and looks you in the eyes. That's an everyday routine.
Every day.
So that means that you shake pretty much 40 people's hands. Everyone with trainers, media, everyone. And then the third guy, fourth guy, fifth guy. And it just goes around like this every day.
Okay.
So when you hit the doctor, he always looks at you and he goes, "You're tired. You're sick. No. Bad sleep. No, you're sick. Come to my room." And then you come to his room and you have like 4 or 5 guys there with the IV in their arms, and the gas mask is on, and I'm like, am I really gonna try that? And I had Jamie Heward with me. He came from Washington at the same time.
Yeah.
And I had Darius Kasparaitis. I had all these beauties in the team, and they're like, "AJ, just fucking try it. So I hooked up. And I was really sick. I was so tired and sick, but in Russia, you didn't tell anyone when you felt bad.
Yeah.
So I put that on. I did the IV, and I was flying around for a month after that. Like you couldn't take the puck away. I had 3 minutes left, Yorkie, as a forward.
What?
And Jamie Heward, he looks like Cale Makar. Usually he was slow. It was unbelievable. He told me to AJ, how you feel? I feel fucking great. Yeah, me too. I feel fucking great. And we had no idea what was going on. Like it was like.
So you take this Russian gas, and all of a sudden you feel like Superman.
Yeah, and I asked the doctor, tell me what is it bad? Is it doping? Because I'm gonna go play with national team. I have, World Cup stuff like coming up. No. Good for your health. Good for your health. Okay.
Was there ever an after effect? Like, did you ever after
What, can't you tell?
You lost all the hair's gone, everything's gone.
Hey, I had long hair when I went to Russia. No, but I don't know. I'm not gonna sit there and say that it was doping. I have no idea. You know what? In the NHL, Yorkie, when you're sick, they give you IV as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But at least you can read on the label what it is.
Okay. I got a few more questions for our game here, Yorkie's word association. So I'm gonna say this is on the same track as medicine and taking drinks to make you feel better. When I say Oasmia magic drink, what do you think?
Oasmia magic drink, yeah. You were there. We were actually at where they made it at the pharmacy industry. Remember?
Well, I'll tell people backstories. So back when AJ and I played in Nashville together, Wally, we invested in this company. It was called Oasmia. It was a Swedish company, and that's the thing with hockey players. We always got these ideas of things we're going to invest in, and we're going to get rich. And AJ's like, I got this for you. We're going to Oasmia. They're going to save cancer. They're going to cure cancer. They're going to cure cancer. I'm like, I'm in. So when I go to visit AJ in Sweden, he's like, guess what? We're going to go to the Oasmia lab, and I'm going to give you a tour. So that's what happens. You and I actually went to the lab, right?
Yeah. We went to the lab with the guy who you actually met, the Swedish guy who was the money guy who brought investors in, donkeys like you and me, and it was like 50 hockey players. And then there was this professor in the back. Oh, there he is, the genius from Belarus, like with a mustache and they gave us that shot. He had this magic shot, remember?
We drank it, yeah.
Yeah, take this shot. This is what we make the cancer cure from. You can use it as a protein and you will feel great. And you and me took it. I don't think we slept for 3 days.
we went on the biggest bender in Sweden for 3 days. Oh my God, this drink, I feel unbelievable.
Let's go back to the lab. Yeah, but do you remember what happened? Though that stock went up really high.
Oh yeah,
and then it went down. They're still around actually as a company. I don't know, but obviously, I thought I was on the candid camera too. Like when I was thinking about it after.
Oh, when we went to this lab after, we're like, okay, were those guys paid actors? Like, are we getting like hosed here? Like we discussed this for days.
Don't worry about it. We feel good.
AJ, I would like it if you'd come back for part 2 at some point because I have a lot more questions. And I'm assuming there's a lot more stories. But you scored, you played your first game against Ottawa. You scored your first goal against Ottawa, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
There's a lot more stuff, and I'm sure you're.
That would be great.
We're not even halfway there. Like we've got so much to get to.
I actually planning to come to. I'm going in after New Year's. I'm gonna go to North America for 3 weeks. I gotta go around and see all our clients, and I'm actually thinking the other day that I'm coming to Ottawa, meet you guys and watch a game and feel the atmosphere from night 8, 99 again. I really want to do that.
That'd be great. Yeah.
What's the date again? You're coming?
I haven't put in a date, but it's gonna be. You have that February break in the NHL, so it either have to be before that or after that, right away after.
You let me know. You come
away after.
You just come stay at my place, and we'll go out for a few.
Yes, that would be great. No, I love to do that for sure.
Great. I can't wait to go, Yorkie.
Well, we'll see, Wally. Baby steps here.
AJ doesn't invite me anywhere.
Well, you can come when I'm coming for sure.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care, my friend. We appreciate you.
Very nice. See you guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, AJ.
I don't even know what to say, Yorkie.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a part 2.
He might be a recurring role. Yeah.
Oh my God. We in all, well, those stories are all true, but in all kidding aside, great teammate, great guy. He's the type of guy. He always gets to the rink early, gets the music on, gets the mood, energizes everybody in the locker room. But when Andreas was growing up, he was like, it was Peter Forsberg and it was Andreas Johansson. He was a big time star coming out of the Swedish leagues, and had a nice career. But he talks about just different opportunities in different places. But we had so much fun together in Nashville. That Nashville team we were on, Wally, Dave Legwan, Scotty Walker, Steve Sullivan, just good guys, and Barry Trotz. I'm just such a huge Barry Trotz fan. He's just such a good person.
A lot of fun. I don't want to shortchange it, but I do want to just quickly tie up Steve Stais, because it's not, he wasn't scheduled to speak today necessarily. Yes. So, excuse me. He was always going to speak around the 20 game mark or somewhere between now and the 20 game mark. And they decided, I think after last night's game, that maybe it's time to have a little chat about what's going on. And he like, you can sense it. Like, he's not overly happy where they're at. He says, no, listen, we are playing really good hockey. Like, I really like the way that we're playing. We're just not getting the results. And obviously it's a results oriented business. You see that, and you get the sense that this is a mentally fragile team. And I'm not sure why that continues to be. It has been for years. But he's, obviously he's positive and sees that this will be a change. I just think this comes down to goaltending, as we talked about off the top of the show. I don't think there's going to be any changes coming soon. If anybody's thinking that or any of that, he's just going to wait this out and see what happens here.
Will be one thing if you got vastly outplayed by the Philadelphia Flyers on home ice and lost that game, then you'd be like, okay, guys aren't working. This guy's not doing that. Like, there are going to be nights in this league where Connor McDavid comes to town. He does what Connor McDavid does. And unfortunately, they lose to Montreal the first night. And he knew, I should have listened to Charlie and ticket Edmonton on that one, because you knew McDavid was going to come out like that. And then you're just going to have nights like that where the other team just is better. But it's the frustrating ones are the ones like Philadelphia, or games like Carolina where you could have won that game, but circumstances happen. So I think the frustration stems from, he believes they're better than their record indicates. And if you look at every game as a whole, I think this team could very easily be a game or two above 500 instead of, what are they, 1 below 5 right now? I think it could easily be 2 above, and then we're having a totally different conversation right now. But it is concerning. It like, I do say that Allmark will be better, but anytime you go out and you get your goaltender and the season starts like this, I know there's injury. There's a little bit of concern there. For sure there is. And that's probably where a lot of the frustration comes from. It's just, that's busy. You never know how things are going to start off. And unfortunately for Ottawa, the goaltending has started off shaky.
But Jay, can we put up the November numbers? The concern is, Yorkie, and I understand that this isn't the same team that's been here. There's a new coach, there's a new system, all that stuff. But if you look, this is the last 5 years of their Novembers. And keep in mind, 2024, 2025, this season, they still have 5 more games to play. I know the old saying is you can't win the Stanley Cup in October or November, but you can lose it. Jesus, this can't continue. And I don't know why, when they brought in the Nick Cousins, the Michael Amadios, the Nick Jensens, the David Perron, all those guys to be veteran voices, that it still appears to be the same mentally fragile group.
I don't know if it's a mentally fragile group. Like, if you listen to David Perron speak, does he sound like a mentally fragile guy?
No. Oh, did you listen to Brady Tkachuk last night?
He's frustrated.
he talks about immaturity, and he talks about mentally
Yeah.
not in a great spot for this group. And it's Steve Staios kind of said the same thing. And Nick Jensen, when I spoke to him today, he's like, yeah, like I can see the mental side of this part.
Here's the thing, Wally. Nobody on that team is going to throw their goalies under the bus right now. Nobody. Like
the
so what are you going
closest
to
you
say?
get is Steve Staios.
So what are you going to say? What are you going to say? Like if you're Steve Staios, you're going to blame the goalie in the media? And it's like I said, it's not all on the goalie, but if you want to take a look in the mirror and you gotta be brutally honest. Linus Ullmark has not played up to expectations yet, and some of those games have resulted in losses. Like just look at the stats. The stats don't lie. 5 goals given up. Those are Ullmark numbers. Like what's the stat you said? Did you say it or somebody said it? I think Lloydie said it this morning. I was listening to Lloydie on the radio, my old partner, and he said he's now given up 5 goals, 4 more goals
in 5 of 10 starts.
That was the entire. Okay, that was us. So the entire year, it took him to do that in Boston. So like,
yeah,
it's just he's not playing like he was advertised so far. In some games he has, in some games he hasn't. And,
not enough games. And then maybe we expect more than we should, but I'm expecting a Vezina Trophy goaltender. I'm not like, you can give up 5 goals in 10 starts twice for me.
Hey, listen, you're not wrong. And if you asked him, he'd say the same thing. But in pro sports, you don't throw your teammates under the bus. You don't.
I know,
especially your goalie. So that's why, like, you put the GM on. What's he gonna say? Like you can't. And you listen to Steve speak, like he kind of admitted a little bit. There's reasons, like obviously new city, all that family injury. I do think though, when you get injured early in the season, it is a little bit of adjustment. But in saying that, he's had some really good games where you say, well, the injury didn't matter then.
He's not injured. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why you look at the Boston game, you look at the Toronto game. So bottom line, he's got to be better.
Yeah.
If he's better, the record's better. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, I say this all the time. Look at the NHL. Look at the good teams. Why is Boston performing? Yeah, sure. They're not playing great, but their coach just got fired. Look at Swayman's numbers. They're horrible. Like, he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good. Yeah. Go around the league.
But he's also benching the top players, which doesn't go well.
That's what happens. Frustrating goes on. But at the end of the day, if Swayman's better, they're winning, and he's probably not benching those players. People forget every team in the league makes mistakes. Like Evan Bouchard made some horrendous plays in last night's game, but they didn't go in.
Yeah,
they got saves. Like Perron, you listen to David Perron, he shot a puck, went off the knob of the goalie's stick. Very easily could have went in. You look at some of those opportunities in the Carolina game, it's just they're not getting saves in some of these games. The other teams are, and there's other factors as well. But at the end of the day, the NHL, to me, most nights it comes down to a game of goalie. It really does.
I agree. Like you always say, show me a good team, and I'll say, I'll show you a good goalie, something to that effect, right? Like,
yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out. Gary Bettman was in town last night. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. The question about rescinding or reducing the first round pick, and how he said he's not revisiting it anytime soon. Now there is a precedent. He reduced the New Jersey penalty, but I don't see this changing at all, and I'll tell you why. Everybody says, well, this is a new ownership group. This was all new people. Pierre Dorion was still the GM when this happened, like when the penalty was handed out. So the only reason he got fired was because of the penalty. If they had maybe fired Pierre coming into the season or earlier, I'm not sure the penalty would be the same. But because he was still on staff, I think that's why it is still a first-round pick and not being rescinded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he wasn't set in stone when he said that. Like, I listened to Bettman speak. Like, I still
last night.
I still think he could come down a little later. Like, there wasn't a final stamping saying this is done. It's a first rounder for sure. He didn't say,
because you never get Gary to say definitively anything particularly like that. So yeah, could there be a change? Yeah,
I think they're
maybe.
good. Maybe.
Based on how he sounded yesterday, because I was in the press conference,
Yeah.
that's not changing.
You don't think
And
so?
No, and I think it's because of what had transpired of Pierre deliberately not telling them about the no trade and how that affects the ripple down effect of, well, maybe trying to trade Dadonov later, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a huge quagmire in the entire trading and managing players. So yeah, I can't imagine. This is more of a deterrent for anybody else than it is to the Ottawa Senators, right? This isn't so much. It's to say the next person that thinks about this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, kind of like when they suspended Pinto. It's like if anybody ever thinks about doing something as far as gambling goes, this is what's going to happen. So you bring the hammer down. No, I get it. We'll see. We'll see what eventually happens.
All right. Well, we'll see how this all plays out. Tomorrow, the Vegas Golden Knights are in town. We'll discuss that game tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to take in that game in person tomorrow night. Going to be up in the alumni box. Good news for Ottawa, though. I know we're going to discuss it tomorrow, but Mark Stone not in the lineup.
Yeah,
good news for the Sens.
I know. We'll see. I think there's a different team showing up tomorrow. So Yorkie, here, let me throw this up before we go. At the end of practice, as I said to David Perron, I could hear Travis Green talking about passion and not pleading, but telling them to bring the passion tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's one thing that you never want to be questioned about, and that's your work ethic as a player or anything for the most part. So does that resonate?
For sure that does. If your coach says come and play with passion, you're taking that to heart when you leave the rink and you're thinking about it for the rest of the day, and your preparation is starting as soon as you go home. You're going to turn it off for a while, but then when you go to bed tonight, you're coming back and you're making sure that you're ready to go. Because I always say this, Wally, I played NHL for a long time. I've never been on a team where guys don't try. Like that, this doesn't happen.
Right.
I think there's certain levels of intensity though. Like you're trying, but just you'll watch it in battles where one guy will just out battle another guy because the guy's he's being more intense in that certain situation. And some guys just get beat because they're better than other guys. Like when you play against McDavid, well, he makes some guys just look stupid because he's better than everybody. And that's just the way it is. But it's the little one-on-one battles that the coach is talking about. Like when the puck is dropped and there's a loose puck, do you get there first? Do you box the guy out? How much do you want that puck? Because at the end of the day, the game of hockey, it all comes down to one-on-one battles. If you win the one-on-one battles more than the other team does, you're usually going to have a better chance of winning.
So in the chat, people continue to try, like the goalies in Ottawa always get, I don't know, kvetched by the media. Like this isn't a media thing about the goaltending. Everybody talks about how the goaltending is playing. This isn't a media against the Ottawa Senators and Linus Ullmark. We're just trying to ask the questions of what's wrong with Linus Ullmark. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm not a goalie expert, but
no.
I think he's going through. I don't think he's inconsistent right now, and he's got to become more consistent. And whether there's
just something.
Well, you look at the first goal; he's deep in his net.
But so I've heard this a few times now about him playing too deep in his net, which is a technical thing, which you hope that they can just straighten out.
Well, every play is a different read. It's just a split set. Everything happens so fast in the NHL, and for the skaters, for the goalies, everybody. It's just every situation. It's how quickly you read it, what you do, how you react, and time will tell. I tell you what, I'd go back with him though. I'd go back with him against Vegas.
Watching what I saw, like how goalies are in certain nets based on how the drills are running, I suspect that he gets to start tomorrow. So that would
I think that's a good call by Greener. Get him back in there, and hopefully he has a good game and gets on a run here.
Will Charlie be back tomorrow?
Charlie's choice will be back. She's 1-0 so far, picking the only dog to take Edmonton without hesitation too. Not happy about it though. Like trust me, Charlie's not happy that Edmonton won. Like and she's not happy about Ullmark. Like Ullmark's a dog guy. Ullmark,
right.
The canine community loves Linus Ullmark. They're tight. They know he's got a dog. He's got a corgi. Is it a corgi he's got?
Yeah, sure.
He's got a corgi. I saw Linus's wife the other day with the kids and the corgi out for a walk. So Charlie knows that. Charlie was with me. But the dog community is rooting for Ullmark. They know he's a good guy.
Okay. Well, we'll see what Charlie has to say tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
All right. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.